Sure. My name is Duran. Became a cut man. I had my own school of kickboxing and had to learn to do everything. Work cuts, train fighters, manage them, promote them. But being a cut man is my passion, was my passion, and kind of gave all that up to be a cut man.
So you've done professional fights before, like you've been a fighter?
Well, when I started in Thailand in 1974, did some Muay Thai, and when I got back to the States, PKA was the only thing that was around. Didn't do any. So I'm not a fighter, but I learned the style, I learned the art, and I know what it takes, to be a fighter. But it's not in my chemistry. My chemistry is to be a cut man, and I'll leave that to the other guys who can take the bumps and bruises. But in training, I took my bumps and bruises, so I know what it feels like.
Who's your favorite fighters to work with?
Well, right now, Josh Barnett, obviously, in the MMA market, Josh Barnett is the guy that I'm here with to work with. In boxing, it's Vladimir Klitschko, the heavyweight champion of the world. So, but I'm privileged enough, Mike, to work with so many fighters that I could name them in the 10s, in the 20s, in the 30s, and the 50s. But Josh Barnett always falls on top.
Like, how does your pay work? Do you get a percentage of the purse, or do you get a flat pay? Or?
Yeah, nowadays, everything was talking about, you get a percentage and all that. But these fighters will work with you on a base. But working with guys like Josh and Vladimir Klitschko, the base is better than a lot of percentages. But I do use a percentage as a base, either a percentage or a fee, whichever is more.
Like, what's your average income on working with a big fighter?
Well, I'm not going to tell you that, but I tell you I do this full time, and there's very few cutmen that could do this full time.
Like when you work with the UFC, so you're working with the fighters, you don't work for UFC?
No, it's a special program that the UFC has that they hire myself and Leon Tabs and other cutmen. We're the official cutmen for the UFC. But the UFC was smart enough to bring in professional cutmen to help these guys. So the UFC pays us. We're independent contractors, so we work on a fight-by-fight basis. But once we get in there, we wrap the fighters' hands, and then I'll be on one side of the octagon, Leon on the other, and whoever gets cut on my side, I take care of them, and whoever gets cut on Leon's side, then he takes care of them. But it's a great formula for the fighters. It makes the game a lot more interesting because we give them that one more round. And we protect the fighter. The safety of the fighter is our number one concern.
What's the nastiest cut you've ever seen?
Well, there's been a whole lot of nasty cuts, but the biggest one was obviously Marvin Eastman. We fought Vitor Belfort, but my proudest cut that I worked on was Forrest Griffin when he fought Shogun. That big old gash that he had between his eyes. To me, as I applied the medications, the adrenaline chloride and the Avatine, everything just fit in place, and then obviously Forrest ended up winning the fight. So me as a cut man, my thing is to give him that one more round, and I gave Forrest a couple rounds, and so I've been real fortunate with that.
What exactly do you put in the cuts, and what does each thing do?
Well, there's 3 medications that are authorized by the Association of Boxing Commissions, for the most part worldwide, but the main one is the adrenaline chloride 1000. That's the one you see that we'll put on a swab and we'll apply on the cut. What that does, that constricts the blood vessels. The Avatine and the thrombin, those are coagulants that we could apply also. And let me add to that is I just produced a video called "Giving the Fighter One More Round" that shows what it takes in depth to be a cut man, working cuts and working swallowing and wrapping hands, not only for boxing but MMA. So I'm very proud of that video, and I think the game needs it because there's so many new trainers that are coming into the game that want to learn how to protect their fighters, and I think I'm quite qualified to give them that information.
What advice would you give like people out there that are interested in becoming cut man? How would they go about it?
Well, obviously, you have to buy the video. I'm here to promote it, obviously, but what I have in the video, Giving the Fighter One More Round, and that's available through that website.com. But it breaks it all down, and it gives them, it educates the fighter, it educates the trainer, and it educates the fan of really what it takes to be a cut man. But somebody like yourself that wants to be a cut man, I would say pick that up, and in my website, you could ask me any comments, any questions that you have pertaining to what it takes to be a cut man, and I'll kind of guide you down the road. I'll be doing seminars also, and that's something that's never been done in boxing, because the old veteran cutmen, so to speak, used to think it was a secret, to do what we do, but It's not a secret. It's just education, and that's what I'm bringing to the table. So if you want to be a cut man, it's highly probable. Just know what you're doing.
Like there's a UFC show tonight too. Like, was it a hard decision for you to pick which one to go to tonight?
Well, no, it was actually it wasn't a decision at all because I work with Josh Barnett, and this is my 14th fight with him, and I booked this fight 2 months ago when he fought his last fight against Jeff Munson in Japan for Zengoku. So I booked Josh Barnett. It just happened that the UFC decided to come up and put a show together, but I was already committed to one agreement. And the UFC understands that. I work on a fight-by-fight basis. I'm an independent contractor, and they know I work with Josh Barnett, so it's not a problem at all.
Like, you're close with Josh. Like, how would you describe his personality?
I tell you what, I was talking to Tom Scorzio today, another cut man, and over breakfast, and Josh is the nicest guy for me to work with, and that's why I always give him all the kudos. Not only that, he could fight, and but as a person, when it comes to business, taking care of me. He gives me the carte blanche treatment all the time. So business-wise, Josh is the best. Fighting, he's the best also. So these are the kind of clients I like to work with. I was in Germany last week with Vladimir Klitschko for defending his heavyweight title, and the same thing with him. They're very professional, and it's a business for them, and they run it like a business.
What are your next big upcoming fights you have in the works?
Well, I got a couple of UFC events coming up. I think on the 3rd, the 10th. I'm booked all the way till October the 11th, I think 12th, and so it's just one fight after another. So they're all big events for me. Whenever you're dealing with the safety of a fighter, and especially UFC events, I love working those because it's a cut man's dream to be involved with a A+ organization, and then working with these fighters that they're the nicest guys in the world.
What like sometimes I'll see like the shirts that you guys wear in UFC.
Right.
Like, are you allowed to get sponsorship deals?
Yeah, well, and the cornerman jackets that we do have is our sponsor. It's One More Round. Mark Zatcher actually called me because it's a new company, a clothing company, and as he says, if anybody gives a fighter one more round, it's Stitch to Cut Man. So he gave me a call and was interested in sponsoring me, and they do make our cornerman jackets.
And how can people get in touch with you? What's your website again?
Well, you can get a hold of me through my website. It's giventhefighter1moreround.com. I'm putting it together right now, but it's I think it has a comment statement there. If not, then within the next week, we'll be able to get a hold of me. My email, personal email, is stitchlasvegas@yahoo.com. So, if you got any questions about cutman, and that's what makes me different than the other guys, Mike. Is the old veteran boxing cutman wouldn't give you no information, and I don't think it's fair to the fighter, and I don't think it's fair to the person that wants to learn. If you ask me a question, I'm going to go ahead and answer it for you.
Thank you very much.